This is the second method of how you can calculate the stretch on your fabric. Now, the first method, I did that on the first sewing version of my dress. Okay, so the first sewing version, I did the first method that you can calculate the stretch on the fabric. And on this second sewing version where I sew this particular fabric, we're going to be practicing the second method that I found out. And yeah, that's what we're doing. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out the length of 5 inches and the width of 5 inches. Now, when you're cutting your fabric to length and width, know that this is how you know the length of your fabric. Okay, you can see this frame here. This frame has some other things that will make you know what the length of your fabric is, the actual length of the fabric, and then the actual width of the fabric. Okay, so this is the actual width this way, and the actual length of the fabric, how it came, is this way. Okay, and you can know that by this thing here. It is always on the top of the length and on the base of the length of your fabric. You can see this thing here. So once we have that sorted out, let's go ahead and cut 5 inches width and 5 inches length. And why we need to mark out the length and the width is the fact that the stretch on your length is always different from the stretch. It's not like always different, but you need to know if it's different. If you have a different stretch on the length of your fabric, that's the actual length, what kind of stretch you have, and then on the width, what kind of, how many percent of stretch you have, so that you can know how to place your pattern and cut if you want the actual stretchy part to be where you use as the width. Okay, so I'm going to mark the width. This is the width, and the width is going to be from here to here, or 5 inches. So this is what we're going to be working with. Now, for this particular second method, we're going to be using the ruler for this method. Okay, we're going to be using our ruler, and make sure you have your calculator, okay, or circumference, or whatever you can use to calculate by your side. So now, first of all, I'm going to find out the actual stretch on the length. This is the length. Okay, this is how you know your length. Like I said, I will place my ruler, okay, and I'm using this inches side. You can see that on the ruler it has the inches, right? I'm going to use the inches side. Now, the formula that we're going to be using to calculate the stretch is the amount of stretch divided by the actual length, or the actual number that you have on your fabric, minus 1 inch. Okay, so the formula is whatever we get after stretching divided by the length or the width of the fabric before we started stretching it, minus 1 inch. So since the length of my fabric is 5 inches, if I stretch it out and I get 10 inches, what I'll be doing is 10 divided by 5 minus 1 inch. Do you get that? The formula that we're going to be using to calculate the stretch is whatever we get after stretching the fabric divided by the actual measurement of the fabric minus 1 inch. I cut out the length of 5 inches as the fabric length and the width of 5 inches, right? Now, when I stretch it out and I get 8 inches, what I would say is 8 inches divided by the 5 inches, which is the actual measurement of the fabric, minus 1 inch. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to start by calculating the length. This is the length, so I'm going to calculate the stretch on the length. Okay, and then to do this, I'm going to place my ruler on the inch side, and then I'm just going to grab my fabric. This is the length, so I'm going to open it. I'm going to stretch it out like this because I'm calculating for the length first, the length of my fabric. Okay, so I'm going to hold it like this. See the free side, and I'm just going to hold my ruler like this, place it like this. Okay, so what I will do now is I am going to just stretch out my fabric, looking out, see if there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know how your ruler looks like, right? Of course you do. So I'm just going to stretch out the fabric, stretch it to the maximum capacity. Okay, so as I'm stretching it, I can just start from the beginning of the tape so I don't confuse you guys. I'll start from here, the beginning of the tape, and then I'll stretch it out, and then I'm getting 6.75. Okay, that's where my hand is stopping. So the first stretch is from the beginning, and then it is stopping at 6.75. Now what I will do is I'm going to say 6.75 divided by 5, which is the actual length of my fabric, minus 1 inch. So 6.75 divide by 5 inches, right, minus 1 inch. I'm getting 0.35, right? That's what I'm getting here, 0.35. Now to get the percentage, you just say 0.35 times 100. Now the percentage of stretch I have on this fabric length is 35. I hope you guys understand. Very simple. We're going to do for the width and you understand very well. Okay. The actual stretch on the length of my fabric is 35% stretch. That's what I have on the length. This is the length. This is what I stretched. Okay, this is the length. Now I'm going to stretch the width. This is the width. Okay, so I'm going to stretch here. This is the width. So I'll bring back my ruler, and then I'm just going, this is the width of my fabric. So I'm going to stretch the fabric, and then I'll place my hand from the beginning of the ruler, and then I'll see where it stops here. Doing that from the beginning of the ruler to this point, I'm getting 6.5 inches. Okay, so from here to here, just look at my hand in case you're not seeing. I'm stretching it to the maximum. Okay, this is the maximum stretch I can go. This is it. This is the maximum. I'm using my whole hand, my whole strength to stretch it. So I'm just going to place this side on the beginning of the tape. On the beginning of the ruler, and then I'll stretch. Are you seeing? It is stopping at, are you seeing? So see what it is doing? 6.5 inches. Okay, from the beginning to this point, 6.5 inches. I'll come to my calculator here. I'll say 6.5 divide by 5, which is the actual measurement or the actual width of my fabric. I'm getting 1.3. Now 1.3 minus 1, remember you always minus 1, equals to, I'm getting 0.3. So once I get 0.3, to get the percentage, I just have to times it by 100, and the percentage of stretch I am getting on this particular fabric width is 30 inches. Okay, so hope you understand. The percentage of stretch I'm getting on the width is 30 inches and on the length is 35. So this is the second method of how you can calculate the stretch. Please let me know in the comment section if you really understand exactly what I have done here. Let's go ahead and cut the pattern on this fabric. Now take note that I will be repeating the first and second method on the third dress. When I'm sewing the third dress, I am still going to practice the first method and the second method with you using that particular fabric, so you understand very well. Okay, when you watch the first video, watch the second video, and watch the third video, there is no way you not become perfect in calculating the stretch of your fabric, and from there you can know how to sew stretchy fabric to your actual fit, okay, or any of your clients' fit. Okay, so thank you, and let's just go ahead and start cutting. Like